Nana schedules the parent-teacher conference for Tuesday at 7 a.m. Yesterday I asked Mr. Stoker what he wanted to talk to her about. I knew I couldn't be failing math. I've got the numbers to prove it. He just said, I want to talk about one of my favorite students. That wasn't a lot of help. Nana follows me to school and to room 213. Their door stands open. Mr. Stoker sits at his desk working on papers. I stop and grab Nana's arm before we go in. Please don't tell him I'm a savant, I whisper. I'd like to think my favorite teacher wouldn't treat me differently if he knew, but I can't be sure. He might demand that I be switched to a different class, claiming it's for my own good. That's not a chance I'm willing to take. She gives the smallest nod and a giant eye roll, and then goes into the classroom. Mr. Stoker gets up and greets Nana with a handshake. Nice to meet you. Then he directs us to sit in the front row. No one pays attention to me as I clean the desk that Max Christie usually sits in, or when I take 3 tries to sit. Mr. Stoker perches on his stool. Let me start by saying that Lucy is a wonderful student. She may not always do her work, and she may not put in a full effort, but I can tell she is fascinated by my class. I sink a little in my chair. She pays attention, and when she has the courage to ask questions, they're deep, thoughtful questions. More than once, she has stumped me, sent me scrambling back to my college textbooks. But she's not doing her work? Nana asks. Mr. Stoker reaches over to his desk and grabs a gradebook. She's missed 4 homework assignments. I have a feeling that she completes the assignment, but perhaps forgets them at home or on the bus. I shrug. And what are her grades like? Is she failing? Mr. Stoker laughs. No. She scored between a 92 and a 95% on every quiz and every test. He doesn't realize it takes me longer to get a question wrong than it does to get it right. I even show my work and make mistakes in either the method or the calculations, and I never do the bonus problems. That's pretty good, Nana says. Mr. Stoker clears his throat. I feel Lucy is holding back. I know she's new to public school. There are enormous pressures. He smiles at me. I turn away. Perhaps you are afraid of doing well. I'm doing okay. Yes, you are, he says. Lucy, Nana says, you're the one who knows what's going on in your brain. Is there something you need to tell us? I shake my head. Nana sighs. Lucy, Mr. Stoker looks at me. I don't want you to be afraid to fail or succeed in my class. Does that make sense? I nod because I want to believe him. Then I look at Nana. She'll try harder, Nana says. Now I have some questions for you. Certainly. Is she making friends? Is she fitting in? Nana holds out her empty hands. These are the things that aren't on the report card. Nana, stop. We are considering sending Lucy to another school next year. It's a sort of boarding school, and I need to know if she can handle it. In your honest opinion? Well, Mr. Stoker pauses, scratching his mustache. We'd hate to see her go, but I'm sure she'll do well wherever she ends up. What do you think, Lucy? I guess. So, she's making friends? Nana asked them. Maybe Lucy can answer. Yes, I have friends. Please, Nana, stop. Her group for the Cougars Care Project is doing some great work, Mr. Stoker adds. I'm impressed with their commitment to the project and each other. I wonder if he's heard about language arts class. Maybe Miss Fleming cornered him in the teacher's lounge and told him about Wendy and Levi's stance after I refused to read aloud. Does he know we were kicked out of class? Good. Nana stands up. I'm proud of you, Lucy, but if you miss another homework assignment, you will lose your computer for a week, and no TV or candy. She gives me a hug. It was nice meeting you, Mrs. Callahan. Take care of my girl. She's 100% ordinary, normal, plain, boring, average. Nana winks at me, and I beg with my eyes for her to stop. Absolutely nothing special about her. Mr. Stoker laughs like he's in on the joke, and for a second I worry that he is. Goodbye, I say through gritted teeth. I love Nana, but sometimes I'd like a more normal, plain, boring grandmother. As Nana walks out the door of room 213, Maddie walks in. They practically knock each other over. Oh, excuse me, Nana says. She steps aside and lets Maddie in. Sorry, ma'am. Please don't call me the cleaning lady, not in front of Nana. Have a great day, Lucy. Nana waves and leaves. I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. Maddie rolls her eyes and walks over to me. She never talks to me unless there's someone else around to hear her hilarious insults. Are you going to this? She slaps down Wendy's birthday invitation on the desk. Yeah. Don't take this the wrong way, but don't you think Wendy would have a better time if you didn't go? I blink over and over. How can I not take this the wrong way? Are you going? Of course. She shakes her head like I've asked a stupid question. I've been going to every one of Wendy's parties. Every single one. I wasn't going to go if she had it at some stupid place again, though. Like at one of her mother's spas. That's where we went the last 2 years. But this place is actually cool. I shrug. She picks up our invitation and sighs. At least we'll have someone to clean the bathrooms. Yikes, Maddie. So rude. Chapter 31. It's been 6 days since we posted about Pi, and he still hasn't found a home. Flint was adopted over the weekend, and even Marty, the AP Chihuahua, had a few phone calls. What are we going to do? I asked Levi at our lockers before homeroom. Claire's not going to let him stay at the pet hut forever. I don't know. We could share his pictures again. We already put Pi all over social media. Levi's moms have helped, and so have Miss Siddon and Cherish. Nana wanted help too, but she couldn't remember her password. We need to do more. We need to go to class, Wendy says, coming up from behind me. But I'll write up a new blog post later. Something with more excitement, more adjectives. We take our seats. Me, 3 times. We listen to morning announcements. Then Mr. Stoker starts math class. I'm not a fan of pop quizzes, he says, but sometimes they're a necessary evil. He goes to his desk and grabs a stack of papers. Groans fill the room. I had a heavy sigh. I don't mind a math test, but I'd rather listen to Mr. Stoker talk and explain mathematics in his simple 7th grade way. It'd be faster if you just wrote F on the top of the paper, Levi says under his breath. I bet you get at least a C, I whisper. Gee, thanks. Think of it this way, Mr. Stoker continues. It's more of a test of my teaching skills than a test of your own competence. He hands out the papers face down. Does that mean you get the grade? Derek asks. Nope. Sorry. The grade is all yours. If I told you it wasn't for a grade, you wouldn't try your best. A grade is your motivation. Pizza's my only motivation, Derek says. Mr. Stoker places a test on Levi's desk and then on mine, and when all the papers have been handed out, he tells us to start and turns on some classical music. I expect the test to be a review of perimeter, area, and volume. And the first page is, but the second page is a complex word problem. I glance at Levi's test. Eyes on your own paper? Mr. Stoker says, obviously watching me. The problem in front of me is hard. Really hard. The octagon, P1, P2, P3, P4, P5, P6, P7, P8, is inscribed, so I think those are the sides, because octagons have 8 sides, in a circle, with the vertices around the circumference in the given order. Given that the polygon P1, 3, P5, P7 is a square of area 5, and the polygon P2, P4, P6, P8 is a rectangle of area 4, find the maximum possible area of the octagon. Immediately, I know that the diameter of the circle is the square root of 10, but that's all I can do in my head. There's no way anyone else has the same test. This is not middle school math. Maybe not even high school. I try to work and rework the problem in my brain, never write anything down until Mr. Stoker collects the papers. He spends the rest of class going over the answers. He does perimeter, area, and volume. He doesn't mention the special problem on my page 2. I can't concentrate. My brain is stuck trying to find the area of the octagon. I tap my toe 3 times under my desk, but I'm still focused on the problem. When the bell rings, I'm slow to get up on purpose. I tell Wendy I'll see her later, and I approach Mr. Stoker. You didn't give me the same test as everyone else, I say, staring at the floor. Every student is unique, he says. Sometimes I create unique tests. He goes to his desk and picks up a pile of quizzes. That's not fair. It's certainly fair. It's not equal. That's the word you were looking for. Equal. He pulls my paper out and turns to the second page. You didn't teach us this. He shrugs and points at one of his posters. The Pythagorean theorem has been on the wall since the first day of school. You know how to calculate area. You know an octagon has 8 sides. You know the angles. You didn't teach this, I say. But But he's right, and that makes me angry. I know all the elements needed to solve this. Why can't I solve this? You didn't even try it, he taps the sheet. I can't do it. Maybe not. He smiles. He actually smiles. I haven't solved it myself yet. It's from an old Putnam competition. That's the major collegiate mathematics test. He stares at me, waiting for a reaction. I don't move. I don't blink. I don't say anything. Well, he continues, I'll let you know if I come up with a solution. What kind of teacher gives out a problem he doesn't have an answer to? My cheeks feel hot, and I'm not sure whether it's from frustration or excitement. Mr. Stoker tears the second page off and gives it to me, in case you want to work on it at home. I shove the paper into my notebook and leave. The problem gnaws at my brain during Spanish. I scribble on the imaginary whiteboard in my head. I plug in the numbers, the colors, and the shapes get messy, like I'm forcing them to play along when they don't want to. I erase the mess in my brain and restart again and again. I can't take it anymore. I raise my hand and ask Senora Hubble if I can use the bathroom. She says, "See," and doesn't question me when I take my notebook and pencil along. As I run down the hall, I pull out a Clorox wipe. I use it to push open the door of the bathroom and again on the stall handle. Standing over the toilet, I write down the first half of the answer, the easy part. It takes me 9 minutes to work out the rest of the problem. I got it. It actually wasn't that hard once I put pencil to paper. I want to show Mr. Stoker that I figured it out. Maybe leave it on his desk, but I can't. I stare at my solution, lost in the beauty of it, the way an art lover would look at a painting in a museum. Then I tear it into little pieces and flush it down the toilet. Unlike an original artistic masterpiece, I can do the problem again, and it will be just as beautiful. In your minds, I want you to be thinking whether you believe that Lucy should have showed Mr. Stoker the correct answer. She had it, and Mr. Stoker clearly knows that she's hiding something. So, should she have shown him the correct answer? Or did she do the right thing by ripping up the paper? You decide. I would say that is a character versus self-conflict if I've ever seen one. Chapter 32. Wendy's birthday is Saturday, and Pi still hasn't found a home. His blog has 17 comments, all different ways of saying, "Poor puppy. I don't want to go to the party. I want to go back to the pet hut." But Nana knows about the sleepover and how excited Wendy is, and she won't let me skip. Wendy invited every girl in our home class to her celebration at the water park, and 9 said yes, including Wendy. Nana takes me to Target to buy a new bathing suit for the occasion. It isn't the right season for swimming, but we find a pretty one-piece that is a size too big on a clearance rack. We buy it anyways. I can't find any water shoes on the shelves, so my old pair will have to do. We need to get Wendy a gift, Nana says, admiring a tie-dye craft kit, also in the clearance section. I'm making her a gift. Oh, great! I hope so. Maybe only grandparents like homemade gifts. With so many girls along, Miss Siddon takes 5 in her SUV, and Maddie's mom drives the other 4. I can't believe I'll be spending 32 hours with Maddie. I text Levi from the car. Me, let me know if Pi gets adopted. Don't get your hopes up. Hope's all I have. Me, you should adopt him. I can't. Did you even ask your moms? 1,000 times. Stop being inaccurate. I asked at least 5 times. I'll ask one more. Thanks. Levi, try not to drown, and try not to drown Maddie. We get to the water park at 1:58. The place is bigger than an airport. While Miss Siddon and Miss Thornton check us into the hotel room, all the girls use their cell phones to take selfies and post them on the internet. Wendy makes sure that I got in a few pictures. I try to smile as big as everyone else as I tap my toe 3 times. When can we go on the rides? Maddie asks. Miss Siddon hands out the bracelets that are our tickets. Let's drop ourselves off in the room first, then we can all change into our swimsuits. Miss Siddon is talking to me. All the other girls wore their swimsuits under their clothes. They need to strip off their t-shirts and pants, and then they'll be ready to dive in. I wish someone would have told me to layer up. We shove into the elevator with our 17 bags. Even the elevator smells of chlorine and has a wet floor. Wendy smiles at me and squeezes my hand. She's so happy. I feel guilty for dreading every minute of this. The room, a suite, is huge. It's bigger than the apartment I live in. Someone has hung streamers and tied up balloons. I count 30 of them. Awesome, Daniela says, admiring a basket of snacks on the table. We're sleeping in here. Wendy points to a room that looks like an old log cabin. Everyone runs to pick a bed. I get there last, and Maddie has already taken the bed bunk with Wendy. For someone who usually can't stand breathing the same air as Wendy and me, Maddie suddenly can't get close enough to Wendy. Do any of you have friends like that? Friends like Maddie? Are you okay with the cot? Wendy asks. A rollaway sits in the middle of the room. It's fine, I lie. I want one of the cool bunk beds. They look like canoes, and each has a TV mounted on a swivel arm. It's not my birthday. This is all for Wendy. I don't carry my Clorox wipes down to the water park. I tell myself that the chlorine in the water will be enough to kill the germs. We show the employees at the door our wristbands as we go inside. He's cute, Maddie whispers to Wendy, and he was checking you out. Really? The guy has to be at least 18. Still, Wendy giggles and kind of dances as she walks. I pull my bathing suit straps tighter so I don't have such a big gap in the front. My lightning bolt charm swings from my neck. I should have taken it off, but I'd feel even more naked without it. Girls! Miss Siddon has to yell to talk to us over the sound of rushing water. We need to find a central spot. Then we'll go over the rules. Maddie's mom points to some free lounge chairs. We throw our towels and beach bags down. The other girls kick off their flip-flops. I keep my too-tight water shoes on. This place is so cool, Maddie says. She looks different when she's happy and not scowling at me. Madison, Mom says, will you please stand up straight? And she pats her own stomach. Maddie stops smiling. She pulls her shoulders back and sucks in her stomach. Miss Thornton gives her a little nod before turning to tell Miss Siddon. Maddie doesn't move. I'm not even sure she's breathing. It's like all the excitement and happiness drained out of her in that moment of good posture. And then she catches me watching and gives me her death stare. What are you looking at? I don't answer. Instead, I focus on re-braiding my hair. We're going to use the buddy system, Miss Siddon says. No one goes off by themselves. Got it, girls? Immediately, everyone starts grabbing hands. This buddy system business is serious. Wendy gets pulled from two different directions. Maddie on her left, Daniela on her right. We're an odd number, Caitlin points out. We'll have one group of 3 girls, Miss Siddon says. We'll be the truddy, which I think means like a group of 3, Maddie says. She takes Daniela's other hand, and suddenly there are circle-like shape, but they don't have a true radius. This forces the other group of 3, Jennifer, Jasmine, and Caitlin, to break up. Jennifer, why don't you be a buddy with Lucy? Miss Siddon suggests. Jennifer puffs out a loud breath and takes a step toward me. I put my hand behind my back, but she doesn't try to grab them anyway. We can switch partners in a few hours, Miss Siddon adds. We can be buddies later, Wendy says to me. Okay? Then Miss Siddon tells us her other rules. No leaving the water park area. The arcade and ice cream shop are off limits. We need to check in every 30 minutes at this spot. None of us have watches, and I don't see a clock, so I don't know if she expects us to keep time. I'm tempted to count seconds in my head. Stay with your buddy at all times, and have fun. What do you want? I try to ask Jennifer. Come on, she says, following the truddy toward the staircase. It rises 4 stories high and is crowded with people. What is this ride? I ask. They move too fast to answer me. We climb 20 steps and join the back of the line. I manage not to touch anything, especially the metal handrail. I tap my toe 3 times. We move slowly up the steps. Most people crush in behind us. There's hardly room to breathe. Jennifer and the truddy form a small huddle, and I hang to the outside. This is the best ride, Maddie says. I rode it like 1,000 times when I was here over the summer. Not possible. Even with no line, I estimate it would take her at least 50 hours to ride it 1,000 times. I heard a 10-year-old died in this ride last week, Jennifer adds. It wasn't last week, Maddie says. It was over a year ago. It was last week. The ride wouldn't be open now. My stomach flips. I'm not afraid of heights or going fast. I don't think anyone actually died on the ride. It's the used Band-Aid on the next step that makes me ill. This place is very unclean. It's disgusting. Are you okay? When he asks me. I force myself to nod and not throw up. I'm not going to ruin Wendy's birthday. Good, she says. I just want everyone to get along. And then she whispers to me, Maddie's being so nice. I bet she's only doing it because her mom warned her or something. I wanted to say, and that's okay with you? She's being forced to be your friend for the day. Instead, I shrug. We're almost there, Daniela says. We still have 2 flights to go, but we are close enough to read the warning sign. No pregnant women, no heart patients. You must be 40 inches tall to ride. 4 people ride in one tube, Jennifer points out. We can go together. She still has her back toward me. But we're 5 people, Wendy says. Maddie, Daniela, and I will go together, and you go with Lucy. She's your buddy. But if Lucy and I go together, then we are going to have to ride with them. With her thumb, she points to the father and son in line behind us. I don't want to go with strangers. As we travel up the next flight, they debate who should ride with whom. Wendy's the only one who thinks 4 is the wrong answer. Don't say anything. This is tricky. Sometimes you just have to make that kind choice. I'll go with Lucy, Wendy says, but Maddie makes a pouty face. It's your birthday. I want to go on the first ride with you. We used to ride carousels together. It's like a tradition. Wendy bites her lip, like she can't decide. You don't care, do you, Lucy? You don't care, do you, Lucy? Maddie finally asked me. I promise we'll wait for you at the bottom. I shrugged. Really? Wendy asks. You're next in line. We'll take turns, Jennifer says. Next time, someone else will ride alone. I don't think she's volunteering. I watch as the 4 friends get into the clover leaf-shaped inner tube. Wendy waves goodbye to me as the guy working the ride pushes them into a dark tunnel. An echo of their laughs and screams lasts long after they disappeared. How many? The guy asks the guy holding up the next empty tube. I hold up one finger. He points to a spot and asks the man behind me the same question. I don't move. The father and son climb in, followed by a lady who's wearing long shorts and a t-shirt instead of a bathing suit. Come on, the employee says. You're holding up the line. I'm not ready. When the light on the wall changes to green, he sends the tube forward into the tunnel. I'm just thinking that it's kind of interesting that Jennifer didn't want to go with strangers, but it's okay that that Lucy goes alone with strangers. So interesting. The next group is 4 teenage guys. They get in without hesitation. The light changes, the ride starts. I watch another group of 4, and then 2 doubles, another set of doubles, another group of 4, when a group of 3 steps up, a mom and her 2 daughters, who are barely 48 inches tall. The worker gives me a choice. Get on this ride or go back down the stairs. You can't stand here. It's against the rules. I take a step toward the stairs. I don't want to push past all the wet people, rubbing skin to wet skin. It'll be okay, sweetie, the woman says. We went on it earlier. It's not that scary, says the girl with pigtails. I stepped into the water and lower myself into the ones of the seats. I stand up. I sit. I stand up. Come on, the guy yells. I sit for the 3rd time, and the stupid jerk probably thinks it's because he yelled. I don't want to hold the plastic candles, but when he pushes us into the dark tunnel, I grab on and close my eyes. The ride is fast and kind of fun. I get water up my nose, and I scream louder than I ever have in my life. I imagine that the loops and twists are perfectly calculated equations. I'm riding math. As I step out of the bottom of the ride, I dunk my hands into the ankle-high water, hoping to clean off the germs. That wasn't so bad, was it? The woman asks. It was kind of awesome, I admit. She waves goodbye, and I look around for my buddy and the Truddy group. They're gone.